Sorry to make you. You were in final Buddhist repose, and I was like, one more thing. If you could. Yeah. Like the bodhisattva that's like not self-caused, just somebody else, with a honeydew, about to be enlightened, and somebody comes along. It's like, oh, could you just? Oh. Welcome. Thank you. I haven't done a class in a week. So thanks for all being here, making it feel warm and welcome, familiar. Don't think I've ever gone a week without teaching. I didn't stop practicing, but just not interacting. So thanks to Darcy, she just did a private lesson, broke the ice, allowed me to know if I was going to cancel tonight or not. When I forgot to hang a picture on the wall, I'll have my teacher's picture up next to my other teacher. But I'll need help getting it hung, but at least it's up there now. They were each equally scary in their own way. So, thank you. Welcome. Do you want to just go around and say your name, because not everybody knows everybody, maybe how you fit in, so people know like who you are and how you fit in, I guess. I'm just either one of the you two, I guess.
Garrett, been here for a while. Started coming training for Kung Fu at first. Did a little Aikido. And then when meditation class started up, I was intrigued. And from there, I got so hooked that I actually stopped doing my other studies and focused pretty heavily in meditation. I'm very happy.
I'm Jeff. Been studying Tai Chi and some other things with Steve over a lot of years. Kind of left the area a while ago, but I'm flying into this today. Steve, see you all. Glad to be back.
Yeah, you've been like 25 years or something.
Something like that.
More. Yeah.
I think it was 99 probably.
Yeah. Yeah. Well.
John, just got back after quite a while, not many years.
Okay. Big Daddy D.
Yeah. Danny. I've been just coming a couple months ago, but I've known Steve a long time. He's a great teacher.
Huh.
When he says he didn't teach this week, he's lying. He's always teaching.
Thank you.
I'm Darcy, and I've been studying different things for the last 10 or 12, somewhere like 12 years. And I'm also an art helper. So I work on art projects at school too.
Yeah, she just hung all my art here in town, so you guys can go see it at Andy's Cookies for the month. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
across the street.
Like across from Duncan, basically. Yeah.
Oh, it is?
Yeah. Right into the south of Duncan.
We should stop by.
But across the street. So it's a funny little collection of buildings, and she's in the back, so you don't necessarily see it. Yeah.
New place?
Not terribly new, a couple years. Yeah. Thank you, Darcy.
No, Steve, been studying with Steve different things, many years, Tai Chi primarily in the last many years. Doing we've been doing a lot of Zoom, Tai Chi recently, but I'm looking forward to coming back into the studio.
Yeah, it's nice to see you in person.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's good.
Steve teaches Tai Chi too, so, and he's available.
I'm Lexi. We've come here for a year and a half now. Jared's starting to go more. Yeah, love it. Love coming here every Wednesday. Beautiful place to be, good people.
Thank you. I was hoping we might be able to be outside, but it felt like it was damp all day and not very warm. So, and I was kind of feeling the need to be inside and warm personally. So, often we'll do this class out by the pond or something for the season. So thank you all for being here again. Let's have a sit. We might consider that our posture is the conduit between sky and soil, between soil and sky. And so kinked is probably less efficient and effective. And a uncomfortable position of the neck is going to make you do work that you want the floor to be doing. You want the floor to be supporting you. So check in with your posture and think, is the front of your neck comfortable or at ease? Is the back of the neck comfortable, at ease? One way to think about this is if I were to say, come on with me, everybody, we're going to take a little walk over to outside to do a practice, you might just all kind of hop up and wander out there. But if I said, we're going to hike, it's maybe a half-hour hike into the woods, everybody would probably want to make some adjustment. Like, let me tie my shoes, or let me get my sweatshirt on, let me hike my cuffs up on my pants, let me get my glasses or bring my water, I don't know. And if I was to say, we're going to take a walk down to the ocean, so 11-mile walk, probably dark when we get there. You guys have other things, other things I want to adjust, and let me make a call first, I'm going to be late for dinner, whatever. So when I say, is the front of your neck comfortable, generally if you bring your awareness to it now, it's probably fine, because your awareness wasn't already there saying something's annoying. Same with the back. But the question really is like, are you comfortable in a way that you're going to remain comfortable through the duration? And maybe thinking of it that way, you can make some little correction, adjustment, some allowance for the practice ahead. In other words, can I prophylactically tend to the body rather than wait for the body to complain? So how's your posture? How's your cervical posture? If there is a word about your breathing that would serve as a helpful clarion call for your breathing, maybe see that word in front of you. What I invite you to do is see that word in fog or mist or incense. Just a simple word, like that's a pretty good quality, something for me to touchstone through my practice. It doesn't have to cover everything, doesn't have to be perfect, doesn't have to be the only word, just for you. What I invite you to do on the inhalation, breathe in that word. It's just smoke or mist or fog hanging in front of you, incense. Breathe it in so it becomes you, integrated within you, feeding you. And then when you exhale, the word is reformed as a reminder, as a companion. So over and over, the word comes into you, the word is formed by you, a reminder built with each out-breath. Perhaps like a physical mantra, a mantra of sustenance. Inhaling, reminded of the breath. Exhaling, tending to the posture, reasserting our reminder. Welcome back. Any feedback, thoughts, or comments? Hmm.
You could use deep or gentle. I do like 3 or 4 cycles, and then another one would be like, I'm more important.
Yeah, it's kind of like a reminder of a reminder, with the word reminder. Oh yeah, let's get back to meditation, not wandering mind.
Hmm.
So, I don't think that's the imagery of the smoke and the word.
Smoke is a little bit of a trigger for me, so follow gets better.
Yeah.
Incense,
The reason I use different words is that I don't mean to define it. It's just a ephemeralness, but I don't want the brain thinking it's incense, this type of incense, or it's smoke. That means I can't breathe. I shouldn't. Or it's just that idea. For me, fog works really nicely, but for somebody else, maybe not. So it may be some indescribableness, or something that doesn't have to suffer your describings, Anybody else?
I was still working on it when we ran out.
Mm-hmm.
I think I got there yet. I mean, I was doing the exercise.
Did you have a word that you were comfortable with?
I did.
Good. Okay. Yeah.
I went right away. I was just working on, deepening the practice.
I'll do a longer version where I'll have a word, kind of like what Garrett was doing, until it feels integrated. Like if I don't see it, I don't lose it. Like that's how I'm doing the practice. Then another word can come in. Like, all right, I kind of have that. Like don't feel like that's slippery in my hands. So here's another quality. Let me bring that to mind and see a different word and just go through some litany. But just being gentle enough with yourself to be okay with one word, I think, is really helpful introduction to it. That's why I said at the beginning, it's not about the best word or right word or all encompassing. It's just a deep, right? That's not a bad breath quality. That's what I'm working on now. There are others, but I'm working on deep. Like, great. That works fine.
I thought it was helpful to have that mantra-like quality. It definitely helped me keep some focus.
One of the things I like about it is that part of the quality is that, like, the word is there because I exhale it. So it doesn't feel like it came from outside of me, like from the book or from the teacher or the lineage or something. Like I exhaled, that's why it's there. Like, yeah, the idea is coming from me and then it's feeding me. Like, so it feels like differently responsible than I was told. Here's the breath quality to have.
I mean, it's coming in with your breath, and your breath is taking it through the body, and where's becoming it?
Like a professor in college said, make it your own. Take the material that they make it. I think there's that quality to it.
So, how has our meditation practice been lately? I'll just go around the room. Maybe we'll start with Danny.
Nice. Good.
It's hard to hide. Hard to hide.
Not good.
No.
I've been a little bit here and there, but nothing consistent.
Mm.
I try to listen to some good stuff in the car because I drive a lot for work. So I've been listening to like yoga and Ayurvedic books. Right now, I'm listening to old school John Kabat-Zinn, full catastrophe living.
Mm.
So I listen to that.
Yeah.
But like meditation, not so much.
Yeah.
Looking at jumpstart it again.
Mm. You might consider thinking of the meditation practice like an offspring, and then when you have a moment in the bathroom or in bed at night or bed in the morning, just sort of that moment to yourself, or when you park the car, but before you get out,
Yeah, I've been doing
like
stuff like that.
where you just listen for it, like, does my offspring need me? Does it need me to visit, spend a little quality time with it? And maybe in those little moments you can hear, as opposed to like some duty or like I'm supposed to, it's my exercise regimen. Just like, do I hear it? Does it need me? Right. The answer is yes, because the practice can't be lived without you. So just maybe thinking of it in that way, like, all right, do I hear? Yeah. Let me go spend a little bit of time. It might allow a shift from the sort of the duty kind of version. I don't know. And maybe it doesn't help you, but somebody else, like they like that idea. I don't know. How about John?
Yeah.
Thank you, Danny.
It's young. I've been doing it, but don't know if I really see like forward progress. It's just different all the time. But in terms of the quality, feeling in between, sometimes it helps more than others. But getting it like in different ways. Sometimes it's touchy.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's listening to Krishna Das
Uh-huh.
or actual meditation.
Yeah. You ever hear about like a whale that migrates from the Arctic to, the coast of Peru or something like that? What, 2,700 miles or something like that every year, like, I don't know, goes 180 miles a day or something, whatever it is. Like that's amazing, right? As a swimmer, that. But I also imagine you can go to the pool where Michael Phelps is, and he just does this, whatever, for 7 hours a day. And then he goes the next day, probably at 4 in the morning, and just does this for 7 hours. Like, pretty good swimmer. I mean, that's a pretty good swimmer story, right? But if you asked Michael Phelps if he's making any progress, you probably get a different answer. Like, where have you gotten? Just getting out of the same pool by the same stairs I got in 7 hours ago, so I didn't really get anywhere. But I did my practice, I spent my time with it, and I developed. So I put it to you, the self question of, am I making progress with meditation, might not be as important as I'm spending time with meditation. I'm getting in the pool every day, maybe drowning, right? Maybe the kiddie pool, whatever it is. But like, you're getting in every day, you're doing it. Maybe that's a helpful view, not just, you're not in Peru, we've been waiting for you, you're supposed to migrate. Those are both fine swimmer stories, but being trapped in the whale version might be sort of deleterious to your self-confidence and self-awareness. Jeff?
Well, it's been something that has confounded my lack of practice has confounded me.
Mm-hmm.
I set up a nice meditation space in my home.
Mm-hmm.
It's a really nice place to be. I know I would benefit immensely just from devoting time.
Mm-hmm.
But I
disappointed in myself and investigating myself, like, what's the deal? Is this a discipline issue that, is it a laziness issue? What's going on? When I do it, I feel as though I'm coming along well with the practice. I just need to find a way to integrate it more into my life right now.
Yeah, it sounds like a discipline thing, but it might also be related to habit and groove. The rituals, habits, groove that you have make it hard to, the bowling ball doesn't want to come out of the gutter. Like it's really going to be hard once it's in that groove to be anywhere else. So rather than just saying, well, I know discipline, I've done it before, I have to make it, come on, buddy, do it, and making it happen, which could be part of it. Some of that kind of kick yourself in the backside a little, like, let me make this happen. But there could be like, all right, what are the sort of grooves that I've worn that are habit, ritual, that kind of take up my time and attention so I don't notice that I'm denying the meditation practice. You get up, you go to the bathroom, you make your coffee, you check your email, you do it, and then it's time, or whatever. You have these little, if you can see where you might be trapped in some of those grooves or a groove, you might find a way to access the discipline, because you could have the discipline, but it's sort of up there on the oiled, hardwood, and you're in the gutter, kind of like, oh, I'm so close, I could see it, I have it built, but I'm still stuck in this thing.
And that's the thing. Because of some life circumstances, I know I'm stuck in the gutter. That's why I think I should be doing some more meditation.
Yeah.
On the other hand, besides being stuck in the gutter, I'm insanely, crazily busy. Every day is a wild chase and it's different.
Right.
So, I have to, find a way to get to bed so I can get up and meditate or something. So I'm too busy working until I drop dead.
Right.
So I'm trying to figure all that stuff out too. But I think it really does come down to being stuck.
A lot of times people have that sort of challenge, which is that I envision 5 a.m. meditate for 25 minutes, then coffee and oatmeal and my day or whatever. But I can't get up at 5 because the kids and then the work and the whatever, and it can't be done. So I kind of put off the meditation because they have this idealized 5 a.m. I just picked that number, but that idea. So it's like, well, do it before you go to bed. Time to go to bed, meditate. Is it the meditation you want or deserve or envisioned? No. But I'm about to go to bed, meditate for a minute and a half or whatever, and like do that, develop that. You might sleep a little bit better, find it easier to get up eventually, and eventually you can take that thing and maybe shift it to a more preferred time of day. That's why I said look at the rituals and stuff, because you probably have an idea when you'd like to meditate. And like maybe it's in the morning, different people, it's different things. And kind of look at, well, what is happening in that time that's a groove? And it could just be sleeping. I sleep through it because of the rest of your day. Start to figure that out. But I would say meditate imperfectly at imperfect times with perfect regularity. Once you have the regularity, then you can say, you know what, I'd prefer to do this in my monk's robes, right? I'd prefer to do this outdoors. I'd prefer to do this with incense lit. I'd prefer to do this for 5 minutes instead of 1 minute, in my special meditation space. Great. Otherwise, the space that you've built might kind of serve as like a defeatist icon. Like I could, I seem to have valued, I afforded it, I painted it the color I want, or whatever, and then it's really more like a niggling thing there than actually what it's supposed to be, which is not its fault, but it's just, oh, I didn't want a challenge to my meditation, and I didn't expect a challenge to my meditation to be a meditation space, right? So there's a few thoughts too. I don't know how many would click for you, but
It's on Patreon, yeah.
Yeah, I have a audio only version and the video. There's nothing to see on the video. It's just like this tech class, just a video of us sitting here. So in other words, you don't have to look at a screen. You can play it while you're doing gardening or something. But I've taped it a few times, so you can. There's 3 or 4. In fact, last year. I did a short version of it, like a 20-minute version that I posted. It's called Discipline Development. Thank you very much. Are we on to Garrett? Yeah.
Yeah, mine is like a combination of Jeff's
You
and
you keep using his meditation space. That's why it's unavailable to him. Every time he looks, you're in there in a loincloth. Such an unusual problem to have, Jeff.
So everything you were saying was resonating because I also just moved in a new place and I designated the spare bedroom instead of it being a spare bedroom. It's my practice room and I love it when I sit down and it's sanctified that space and that helps my practice a great deal. But I found that when I go to sit down to do that now, I'm subconsciously asking a lot more of myself. Whereas before, I was more okay with doing a minute meditation, just sitting down in my room and let's just do a quick meditation before bed, right next to my bed. But now it's like when I sit there, I feel, or even sometimes I don't even go in the room, like you said, and I just feel like it's demanding more of me. Like you got this whole room, it's all special.
Like it's deserving of a more
That's a great way to put it.
more important practice
Yes.
than you might have ordinarily done on that same night.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
That's how I feel semi-frequently. But the other thing that I've been trying to work on, like so, instead of sitting down and really doing like a deep practice, I've been taking in a lot of content. So another issue that I see with myself is I'm focusing too much like intellectually on learning the field and just like notes and read and consume rather than experience. And that's just always been my problem. I feel like.
I know that one.
Yeah, and I'm trying to deal with that. But the last thing I'll say is what has helped me a great deal. I think you were touching upon it at some point. I forget whose, but I have like when I go to the bathroom or when I arrive at a location in the car, like I've kind of geared myself to like always take that time to just I don't even know if you can really call it meditation, but
Interstitial.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And because it's like you always have to go to the bathroom, every day, and you're alone, so it's just a perfect opportunity to just quiet, and that's been a positive thing in my practice. Definitely seen.
I met a lot of those ones.
Mm.
I find that just being in the Uchi posture before you perform is most often where I do some kind of meditation. And so I try to latch onto that because I'm doing Tai Chi every day for sure.
Nice.
So I make sure I stop,
That's what
right swing, Uchi.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, and that suggests, sometimes when asked about your meditation, you have an idea of what a meditation looks like, and then you're like, well, I don't do much of that. Whereas if you think about it, when I can allow myself to let it look a little differently, I do have a meditation practice, but I haven't been busy thinking of it as a meditation practice, but that counts, As to the space and, and the deservingness, we could have a long discussion of does any space deserve anything, or is the deservingness something that we impart on the place? It's a way that we view the place. That's an interesting discussion, I think. But the space does not demand of you anything, you know. So honoring what you are capable of in the moment, or honoring what you do need in the moment, as I think a great way to honor the space. You know, I've definitely seen, you know, like an art teacher or a music teacher or something, with a student who can't get past themselves because they think that they're supposed to produce a masterpiece because it's an art teacher or it's a music teacher. The reality is the teacher's not expecting a masterpiece. They'd be happy if there was one, of course, but they're expecting it to be, yeah, good try, like another effort, like, you know, but like you thinking, but it's the teacher's looking at me. I won't open my mouth until, or I won't write lyrics until they're perfect, or I won't put the pen to paper until, no, just honor the space, honor the relationship. This is what you need now. This is what you're capable of now. More than likely, it's not going to be ideal, right? But yeah, it's kind of why we're practicing. So the short version of that is get over yourself. Like it's time to practice. This is the practice I can give to a place that maybe seems better than I can give. All right, that's great. That's fine too. I don't like go to the ocean and think I'm not worthy. Look at how perfect it. I'm just like, I'm glad I can take in this perfect place, and it's not gonna insult my less than perfect practice. It's just gonna receive it like everything. That's pretty nice. I don't. You know, uh, uh, the flowers in your field say not so. They don't deny your imperfections. You know. Um, so thank you. So Lexi or Darcy, who wants to?
I would say kind of off the bat, I've been improving on adding a meditative like state to certain, everyday tasks, which is nice. But as far as, sitting down to practice, I definitely have been slacking.
Yeah, and I think we generally want to be careful not to let one subsume the other or conflate one with the other or have one replace the other, displace the other. They're different things. But having a meditative practice is a pretty nice thing. And like that's really great. Like if it's, generally for somebody it's something that's repetitive, washing dishes or something, like great, do that. Don't tell me that's your meditation practice. That's a different thing. And meditation practice might not be sitting down, like we were saying. It could be something like Jeff was, oh, wait, now that I think of it, I do that for sure, and it might not be as perfect as you want it to be in the space. But I don't want to say, stop doing that, do the other thing. They're both good. We just don't want to think one's the other. And if you don't have meditativeness in your life, it's a nice thing to kind of develop, where you can. Um, Unless it's with heavy machinery. But other than that, finding a place to do it is a really, really, really nice practice. Steve.
I've come back to it after many years, and for me, it's a way of being good to myself. My practice is I get up in the morning, do a few breaths, just a little, not much, just a little bit. And then at night, not every night, but many, I'll set my timer for 15 minutes, and I'll sit there and meditate. And for me, it does good stuff, and so that's it.
Do you find that using the timer, having like an external, parameter is helpful?
Yeah, sort of the way I came to meditation. Okay. There was that aspect of it. A bell was rung, you would sit there and sure. The bell. And then sometimes when you rang the bell, you'd have to kind of keep your eye on it. Yeah. So this is just, it does it for you. So, and one of the interesting things is
your perception of time. In other words, you may feel like, a minute's gone by or 5 minutes gone by, it's been 15 minutes, or you might be 2 minutes into it and you feel like it's gone for a long time. So that's kind of an interesting thing. So I do like using time.
Yeah, I do as well.
I wonder your thoughts, Steve. When I use the timer, I felt like there are times where I sit down and what I have to like really offer is like 2 minutes, and after that 2 minute mark, I feel myself. I'm like I'm just out of it, but timer's still going, and I want to go for another 13 minutes because that's what the timer says. And I wondered if that section of 13 minutes where I'm just like, and I'm trying my best to get back into it, but it just feels, it doesn't feel authentic to me. If that is actually bad for my practice. You know what I mean? Like forcing myself to do something that I don't want to do with the practice versus just 2 minutes of, that's good for me in that moment. That was just my experience for a while.
So I can just speak to my experience. So I don't know good, bad, something's good or bad. I mean, I set the alarm for 15 minutes. I'll sit there for 15 minutes and whatever my mind goes, and it's like reading books, like you're taught, you're aware your mind's going somewhere else. Oh, okay, my mind is on this. Let's get back to focusing on the breath, or the word, or the fog, whatever it is. I mean, and again, it's just my experience. And what I've heard and believe is, like 5 minutes of good meditation. When I say good meditation, attempting to do stuff, attempt because and is better than 15, 20 minutes, an hour of just like sitting there and just letting your mind, or not making the attempt to go back to focusing on your breath.
Yeah, I hear you. It sounds like in that 15 minutes, you're saying like I designate 15 minutes to sit, and then that's that. Whereas like for me, I was like I'm designated. I'm going to be in a meditative trance for 15. You know what I mean? Like it sounds like I'm putting a lot more expectations on my section.
And that may happen.
Yeah.
If it happens, that's fantastic. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen.
Sure. I need to develop that attitude.
Yes, I think Master Steve. It's been a while since you've been here.
Another reading from the book of Scooter. When your attention leaves, come back to the not squirrel. I would bet that most of us would say that our spirit doesn't have a good day and it doesn't have a bad day, but our body has good days and bad days, good hours, bad hours, right? Obviously, saying the word spirit, we could have discussions and arguments, but you might imagine that there's some unchanging element of you, facet of you, right? And then there's the spectrum and the whipsawing through the spectrum and the roller coastering and whatever. What I heard you describing with the 2 minutes and then the 13 minutes to go kind of was an expectation or an argument or an arrogance that a meditation session is supposed to be homogeneous. Right? It isn't the spirit. I would say maybe the intention is the thread, the homogeneous, unvarying thread through the thing. But the practice right? Or whatever, or starts great, whatever, it varies, but you're practicing, you're still with it. And it might be that the last 13 minutes for some period of time is always pretty rough and bad, but it might be that you live on a gravel road, so the last 15 minutes is always bumpy. Potholes, it's just when you get where you're going, that's what the trip is like for you. Maybe down the road you find a shortcut, or you find you don't need to go to that home or whatever, and it's a little smoother. But I don't think that, and that's why I say arrogance, like, I don't think that, the arrogance of this meditation session is going to be an act of perfect purity. Well, who's doing the meditating? You. What else have you done that's perfectly pure? No, I mean, I can't get. We don't have time for your list. We don't have time for your list of. But I can't get through a cup of coffee without one sip being off, right? Right? If you make a sheet of cookies, one of them's burnt and one of them's perfect and one's too cold. I don't know. Like, everything is bumpy, varied, changing, unhomogeneous, right? We might say that maybe through a practice of meditation, things will smooth and you'll be a little bit more homogeneous-y as we go. There'll be a little bit less highs, less lows, maybe less variation in the frequency. Like, that might be a reasonable expectation. But, if I'm giving myself 15 minutes to meditate and the last 13 minutes rocky, I wouldn't stop at 2 minutes because I don't want the rockiness. Like, that's part of life. That's part of it. And what I'm doing with that is not just defeatistly existing either. Like, I'm trying to get back into something, follow the breath, tend to the posture, empty the mind, whatever it might. Great. And maybe it's hitting the tennis ball to Rafa, and every time you hit it, it's coming back really hard. But your job is to get out there and get your workout in.
My thought is that look around the room, it's mostly martial artists or all martial artists, and it's no different from me with Tai Chi. You go out make mistakes, not make mistakes or whatever, but learning from that, whatever you encounter,
Darcy?
Well, my practice lately is letting go of expectations of what meditation should be like at all.
Nice.
Feeling like that I recognize the wave of everything that I can quiet my mind for, and it's going to race. What is the different, and that it's okay. Like, that solitary thinking is a wonderful delight in our lives. That it's okay to have 5 thoughts at the same time and let yourself be able, and then recognize that, focus on the breath, and be able to return to this state, but not ignoring or not feeling bad that I have a human mind that wants to not focus. And it's really working well for me in the city because I do need to stop and say, wait, oh, here I am, and why am I thinking about work? I mean, okay, wait, okay. And then I'll come back, and that's okay. And so watching it come and go is my practice now, a meditative state, without expectation of any kind of depth or breadth or length of that time for meditation. Sometimes it is a few breaths, and sometimes it's a few minutes. But one thing I wanted to add is that I think it's super important that we're so bombarded with information and opportunities to be stimulated. Just to even if you're meditative in your room, quieting, to allow yourself to recognize that you are a thinking, problem-solving, strategizing machine. Everything you're putting in is adding to But that doesn't have to be a bad thing. It just has to be a thing that you can balance, maybe with another way of thinking. And that's what this practice has helped me. I mean,
Very,
class has helped me be able to.
very good stuff. What I'm envisioning is somebody, an adult that has like magician glass, right? Like it's made to break, like movie glass, like you hit over somebody's head in a bar fight scene, and it's made of sugar. Costs 2.5 cents, and they're in the house, and the kid comes, the neighbor kid, who's like 7, and whatever happens, and they break one. There's the moment they drop it, like, oh no, I'm in trouble. And then they look up at the parent and the adult who's like actually lets them off the hook. Like, actually, you could break another. It's really fun. They're not real glasses. You're not in trouble. They're kind of fun. You could take one home and show your brother. Like there's that moment when the kid realizes that they learn that it's okay to break this glass, right? They learn that it's okay to break this glass. So that moment of learning is that moment of relief. That was close. It was almost a really bad night. But before they learned it, it was okay to break the glass. So the fact that it's okay to break the glass did not begin when they learned it. It just seemed to begin to the kid because that's the moment they learned it. But it was before the kid even came in the house. It was okay to break it before the kid, right, knew about it. So this might not apply to exactly what Darcy said for Darcy. It applies to what she said, but she might not need it. When she was talking about it's okay that, this is what's happening in my practice, right? The thing that happened in the practice didn't actually require you to name it as okay, to be okay. So it's not based on your ego or your mind. It's just objectively okay. And then you learn that it's okay, or remember that it's okay, which is its own thing and nice and maybe helpful. But you recognizing or learning that it's okay isn't changing the world. And it's not making the world sign. It's just you coming into alignment with the world. So kind of recognizing, you can't really see it at the time, but you can recognize that now that I'm learning that it's okay, this isn't the birth of its okayness. It was okay before I got here and before I got here in my practice. And that can be a helpful, like another step from what you were saying.
I think the analogy with the glass is beautiful. It was okay before you knew it was okay. It was just what it is. It was always the sugar glass. With all of the expectation, oh, I broke the glass. I love that. That's great.
Thank you. Danny.
I just want to get back to what I was saying earlier when you first asked me. So this has been really good, this whole talk, because sometimes I like to think in black and white. And, if I'm not meditating for like 20, 25 minutes, just sitting there every single day, I'm a failure. But like, when I think about it, like what I've been doing, some of the things I've been doing, bringing awareness and this and that, I think I have been doing some things consistently. But one thing I've been doing consistently is I get up every morning and I do jhana meditation. So I go through the malas, 108 times. Like almost dead consistent with that. So
yeah, that's Japata is, yeah.
So this discussion is just maybe giving me a little bit more flexibility in my mind, the way I see. I mean, I could be doing more, but at the same time, it gives me a little bit more flexibility and compassion and to what I'm doing, and just I don't know, just maybe I'm not as bad as doing that as I thought I was.
That's what I'm hearing. I'm just like, I'm really terrible. Like, oh, I'm terrible. Oh, I'm way better.
Why'd you point at Steve?
And then for you guys, you're saying about your meditation space. So I got a divorce recently, and I'm saying maybe not exercising consistently in the house and not doing meditation consistently in the house.
Not having that.
Not having the space.
Not having the space, right?
So that's
There's always an excuse.
So when I get my place and I have my own meditation, then I'm going to be a real meditator.
Yeah,
Right.
for sure. You'll see.
Just like Jeff.
Yeah.
So, please.
I was going to say that I think it's interesting what people consider failure when it comes to meditation. Like for some people, it's not achieving a certain length of time. For me, it's maybe not seeing a certain result from it afterwards, or maybe doing meditation.
The word that comes up for me is should. You should do this. We're constantly bombarded in our lives with should and how we should feel.
Mm-hmm. That's right. That's right. Yeah. The results idea. We're all adults, so everything is results, right? Everything is result related and referenced. Maybe not met, but it's all related and referenced to results. Maybe we could just let the meditation be that result-free thing. Like, it's just about me doing it. Like, if I said to you, your prescription is to go for a walk in the woods, like that'll help your anxiety, that'll help your fitness, that'll help your breathing, that'll help your asthma, that'll help your whatever. We wouldn't be measuring the results. Like if I said it would help your sciatica, maybe, well, it hasn't yet, or it's starting to feel the difference. It's just like go out in the woods. It's nice to go for a hike. Go to the beach. It's nice to walk on the beach. Like, well, I don't need results. Like, just going. That sounds like a healthy thing. Maybe it's not something that we imprison with our result insistence. It's just a thing we share with ourselves. I have to. Has NBC Ken? No. Yeah. Okay. I wanted to introduce an idea. It's called Nənawā. It's a Pashtunwali term. And Nənawā is this idea of safe harbor. Often probably translated as like asylum. N-E or N-A, N-A-W-A-T-E. And if your mind, thoughts, worries, anxieties, concerns, frustrations, prejudices, all the little demons around you when you meditate, whatever those particular ones are for you, if those cause you trouble, they cause you dismay, they cause you disease, they cause you imbalance, whatever. And it's very easy to set up a dynamic in your mind that that they're the problem, they're bad, they're the villains, because they cause you to lose focus and to hyper focus and to stall and to spiral and to worry and to raise your blood pressure and breathe poorly and whatever, tension. Nənawā is this idea of if I seek safe harbor with you, you who also follows the code of Pashtunwali will give me safe harbor. The really interesting part about this is that in the culture, if the person that is my enemy or that I wronged or who wronged me or however it played out, if I seek Nənawāti with them, my enemy, they will give it to me. They will say, up until this moment, you and I were doing this, and I was jealous of you, and you did it, and you stole my sheep, and whatever the things, but you're requesting safe harbor. Here's a spare room, here's dinner, here's my best wine, or whatever. It's a really powerful idea. Hard to imagine doing, I think, for most of us. But I think it's a really inspiring idea. Nənawāti. So, all I wanted to suggest for homework is that these demons, these villains, these problems, these obstacles, these named challenges, maybe we can imagine that if they're coming to us, they're seeking asylum. Maybe the reason they came to me is that they're seeking Nənawāti. And maybe I can practice saying, oh, you need safe harbor. Of course you're annoying. We were in conflict. That makes sense. But that's also why you need safe harbor. Is there a version of me, a portion of me, an aspect of me, a bit of time of me that can provide that safe harbor? It's not about defeating it, dissolving it, or dismissing it. It's about receiving it and giving it your best. There are literally people in born in the culture of Pashtunwali who, will be wronged by, like, you killed my brother, son, and I'm hunting you down and mad at you or whatever, and then they come to your house to seek safe harbor. That you're like, that's the last house you would think you'd go to, right? But think about how that's, rather than the birth of vengeance and the birth of uh, retribution after retribution, the legacy of retributions. It's the birth of compassion, which is like a great time for it, right? So maybe just thinking like, is there a soft place in me that can receive these visitors? Because man, it looks tough to be them. Because I have the view of them that they're a problem. Like I can definitely see why they need compassionate refuge. So, something to try. Thank you all. Really appreciate the support, you guys being here. It's not the easiest for me. Hopefully it was some kind of a helpful class. Anyway. Oh, thank you very much. Could you press the stop if you, since you're close? Thank you. Yeah.